Sure.
All right, I think we're live. Hello, everyone.
No.
I already see people joining in, but I think we're gonna give it 1 or 2 more minutes to make sure that we get enough people. In the meantime, we can sit in awkward silence, or we can tell a joke if you have one ready. Awkward silence it is then.
Two investors walk into a bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Paul, I noticed that you shaved. I don't think I've seen you without a beard in a while now.
Yeah, you chose a picture from 200 before Christ. Okay, let's try to resemble the picture.
Gotcha. I see. Next time we can Photoshop a beard on the photo.
Yeah, and 50 pounds.
All right. Okay. So I think I'll start with the housekeeping items and give everyone time to join. So first, hi and welcome. Thank you for joining our. I think this is the 4th edition of the Ask Me Anything session. We have double value this time. We have 2 people instead of 1. Today, Adriana Iordan is joining us. Adriana is Chief of Product and Marketing at SeedBlink. She has over 20 years of experience in building and promoting good products and services. She's worked in the past in companies in payments, e-commerce, fintech. I personally know her for a few years now, and I've worked with her and always enjoyed working with her.
Oh, thank you.
And then we also have Paul Serea, who is our product manager with, again, over 10 years of experience in overseeing the development of IT solutions. I like him too. I'm joking, obviously. Thank you both for joining in today. I'm to which I'm sure is going to be the most data-driven and product-led Ask Me Anything that we've had so far. I'm looking forward to questions from the investors on when we're adding features that they're asking for. Before we begin, I just want to mention the fact that we are recording the webinar, and you will be able to find it on our YouTube channel. We'll also send it to you via email together with the presentation after the call. So if you have to drop in before the end of the webinar, that's fine. You'll get everything on email. The structure will be Adriana and Paul will present a 20 to 30 minutes deck on the product, the build up so far, and then some next things that we're looking into. And then the remainder of the webinar we will dedicate to answering your questions. So you can drop in any questions you have in the Q&A section. Please use the Q&A section, not the chat one. So we're able to filter them and go through them one by one. But know that we will be answering questions at the end of this. So we will get to your question, but it's gonna take a while. And okay, that being said, I think I'm done with the boring stuff. Adriana, Paul, again, welcome, and I'm gonna pass it on to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Vlad, for the introduction, and thank you all for attending the session. I do want to mention that we hope this is a conversation and it's with both investors, but also founders, because we build products and services for both roles. As Vlad mentioned, we would like to walk a bit through this recent major release we announced, the spring release, and then show you a bit some of the functionalities we work on for the summer release, and we'll close it with some thoughts on our roadmap. But along the way, if you have any questions or feedback for us, please feel free to type them. With that, let's allow me a bit first before we go into the juicy stuff that Paul will tell you more about. Allow me to give you a bit of context for those of you that maybe are not familiar with SeedBlink. And I'll start with our product mission and how we think of it when we build new features, and also when we think of packaging and the offers we bring in the market. The product mission, as I understand it at this point, after 1 year and a bit with SeedBlink, is that we are building for individual investors. We aim to build professional tools, insights, and also an infrastructure for users to execute their venture capital strategies. And this is alongside with the partners we have that are institutional investors, such as the VCs. So if you know us as the equity crowdfunding platform, as we started, the partners of this company started, we actually evolved more towards a co-investment platform where you get access to emerging European tech startups and scale-ups, because we also serve more mature companies, bridge Series A, and not just the seed. And we aim to solve for two big, hairy problems we identify so far. One is the access, as in access to pre-IPO companies to invest in and back them. And this is actually more complex than just equity crowdfunding, because it's also a matter of supply and the way we do it, as in the sourcing, the selection of the startups, the vetting, the curation of the startups. And then the other major problem we identified is related to liquidity, as in building the controls and having the ability, offering the ability for the investors to sell more or buy more along the way, along the investment cycle. So this is what we are today, what we built so far as capabilities and still continue to develop towards to. The sourcing process, the vetting process of actually bringing these startups on the platform. It's about building a community of investors that are, in our case, the network we gathered is with executives and senior professionals themselves, so they are able to also help the startups post-investment. And we are looking at how we can leverage this to actually couple this energies in helping the startups. And other than that, it's the platform who allows for a digital experience, both on the investment side, but also the portfolio management. And in terms of pillars of product development, we aim for offering the simple access, the controls, as in you to have the direct ability to choose the startups, to have the full information, to be guided, to define your investment thesis, to look at your portfolio, to have enough data to do educated decisions, build a portfolio, diversified portfolio, and then also to understand that in all roles, the company success is our success, ours, as in your success as an investor, and SeedBlink as a company. And with that, let's start with the highlights of the spring release.
So first of all, I'm super happy to be here. Thank you, Vlad, for the introduction. I like you too. Guys, as Adriana said, this should be a conversation. So please feel free to throw at us any questions or feedback, suggestions that you may have. With that in mind, I'd like to jump right in and talk about my portfolio. Of course, most of you hopefully know what it is and what it does. But just as a quick introduction, so my portfolio is for us a key feature of our product, a core functionality aimed at bringing real value to our investors. We believe that the information displayed here should be more than just raw data, some numbers there, but actionable insights that will support SeedBlinkers in their decision-making process. Right? So when it was first launched, like more than a year ago, it was quite limited, but a lot of you adopted it as it were, and we kept investing in it and making iteration after iteration. And right now we're quite proud of the latest iteration and how it looks right now and what it can bring to the table for our investors. The latest version, besides some UX improvements, what it brought was the capability of capturing and rendering details about not just the first rounds, but also different events like follow-ons, secondary, and even external events that happen outside of our, let's say, platform, right? So anything that you can think of, we can now bring it into the platform and make sure that we offer our investors the up-to-date snapshot of the value that their portfolio assets hold. We want to also make sure that this information is accurate. So we went ahead and partnered with Coface, and we did a internal audit, let's say, of this information that we display in this portfolio. And of course, Coface is an industry leader in all things related to business. They are quite big. They're 75 years old on the market. They're quite experienced. So for us, it was kind of natural to partner with them. We have received from them reports that confirm that the data that we have and the data that we provide the investor is accurate. And we are going to keep investing in this direction to make sure that 100% of our information is 100% accurate. The reports from Coface are uploaded to my portfolio, so they're available to investors to check themselves. And this should bring, let's say, a bit of comfort and peace of mind to investors that what they see is actually what they have. On top of this, we regularly, as some of you may know, we regularly upload reports that were provided by the startups from our portfolio, from SeedBlink portfolio. And these reports are also uploaded in the document section of my portfolio. But we want to go ahead and add on top of this more types of information that can be transformed into investment signals for our investors. So things like new deals that they landed, that the startups have landed. We want to make sure that we can capture this and then bring it to our investors so that they can analyze it and then make decisions on this information. Last but not least, of course, aside from introducing new features, we also maintain and always update existing features. And we have done many changes that doesn't make sense to list right now. But one that we are particularly proud of, especially because more than half of our investors also use mobile devices, that my portfolio is 100% mobile friendly. And there are rumors that maybe a mobile app will come sometime in the future. But for now, I think this is it about my portfolio updates. I hope you guys like it. And if you have feedback, we're always listening, but more about that in a few slides. Yes, this is just one example of the UX improvement that we've done. So we added more transparency to the process, and for ongoing investments, now we clearly state in my portfolio section where the process is. So if you need to sign documents or if you have to transfer funds or whatever you may need to do, the information is there readily available for investors. And yeah, this is just one of the things that we have been doing lately.
All right, I'll cover the SeedBlink Club. This is actually a new product we launched. And how we came to this is that for many months now, we are talking about the diversification and the importance. And this is generally accepted as an investment principle, so it's not new in the financial world. And this means mostly spreading one's investment over a lot of different asset classes. And this is more of a tested method that reduces the risk of individual investment and is bound to generate higher long-term returns. And this applies obviously to the startup investments as well. So this idea of how do we support the investors to diversify their portfolio even further came when we saw that many of our elite investors, so investors with larger portfolios, have over 30 companies in their portfolios already. So we wanted to be able to offer the same advantage to users, or maybe at the beginning of their journey. So in this case, we built this membership where you have access to private deal rooms. This is related to companies that don't want a public funding project. So in that case, we are setting the project as a deal room, as a private event, right? So far it was available mostly to the elite investors, and we want to extend that to the members of the club as well. So besides the access, it also comes with priority services, with educational content, access to events, and obviously with more flexible investment tickets, starting at 1,000 versus the existing 2,500 euros. So this is available already on our website. You can access it. It's a yearly membership. And I want to thank all the early adopters of that took the offer. And we are refining it with new benefits, but this is already available and you can access it. Moving on, I'll also share a bit of a pilot with it, a functionality, or more of a service, I would say, because we want to identify and build a network of experts from the community that would be able to help us vet better for the community the startups we select. And how we do this is that we are sharing from our pipeline upcoming opportunities, and we invite you to rate them and also to provide us feedback, but also to enroll in this expert network, which later on would be part of becoming either an advisor or a mentor for the startups, if you wish so, or to be invited in our funding committees to help us better assess the opportunities we have. So this is this started as a pilot, but we are productizing it. We had very good feedback. So we do invite you to share your opinion and help us select the best companies, the technology companies we would all be proud of. All right, let's cover a bit also the projects that we have in development and are coming in the summer release.
Yeah, so we'll start with our crown jewel. So secondary market, first version. We aim to release this as soon as possible. We're aiming for June this year. So we already ran a pilot with 2 companies from our portfolio, where first of all, it was a great learning experience for us. And now, of course, the next obvious step is to productize it. This new product is, again, aimed at bringing more value to SeedBlink investors, giving more control over one's portfolio assets. What we aim here, medium-term goal actually, is to allow shareholders and investors to find partners with which to trade assets that they already own or which they desire. So for instance, you wanted to invest in a soon-to-be unicorn, but you missed the last round, no problem. You can go to the secondary market, find somebody who's willing to sell shares from that company, and there you go. Your portfolio has diversified and you now own stock in that future unicorn, right? The short-term goal, though, the first iteration that we are currently working on, aims at introducing this options of being able to sell your assets within the same SPV. So we will introduce basically two new interfaces. One, it's a bulletin board where we show the options to sell or to buy shares in a certain company. And the second interface, a different page, will guide investors through this process, step by step, from initial offer, accepting it, signing the necessary contracts, transferring the fees and the amounts due for the assets that you're purchasing and so on. And by doing this, we hope to like I said, give more control to the investors and be able to have success stories on both sides of the aisle, so buyers and sellers as well. And we're really proud of this. And like I was saying, this was one of the most requested features in a recent survey that we did. And like I said, we are always listening. So if you have feedback, reach out to us, share with us your perspective, and we'll try to make it happen. Next, it's also kind of an obvious step for us, but one that we feel that it's really important, is we have partnered with DocuSign, which is, of course, again, a leader in its industry. And we are trying to introduce a new streamlined process of signing documents and also enable us to have different processes where multiple signatures are needed on one contract. And on top of this, of course, have everything mobile friendly and with security built in. So starting this summer, look forward to signing the contracts with DocuSign and not with the old process anymore. We're really proud of this.
All right, I'll take the network. This one is straightforward. We also want to make sure that this initiatives that we already started a while now to build a network of mentors, advisors, of people who have certain expertise and want to help the startups and be part of their journey post-investment. It's also get a home, and that's why we are building a SeedBlink network, which will be integrated in our platform, and will leverage the community aspect capabilities, in the sense that you'll be able to be part of dedicated rooms, a room where you discuss, for instance, how to be a mentor and to share best practices, a room where you can discuss directly with the startup founders you invested in, a room where, I don't know, the passionate people of security are in and debate over an opportunity or, I don't know, opportunity in the market that they would want us to bring on the platform. So such conversations are already key for us, and so far happened mostly online and through channels where we did like elite events or academy events or such like the Ask Me Anything session we are here today. But the next for us is to enable the conversation among you, as in the investors in our platform, in the platform, but also the founders as well. So the founders, the alumni, to have a place to discuss among themselves or to discuss with their investors and so on. This is straightforward. And let's go to the next one. This I would just give you the major highlight of the second half. Paul mentioned the secondary market, but this is important for us as well. And it's about us changing the operating model. And I won't go to the details, it's just a heads up. We'll have dedicated webinars about how this impacts the investments moving forward. But just as a, I don't know, a short preview, what we are doing is that we are setting SeedBlink Trust in Austria, which has numerous advantages for the investors, in the sense that you'll be directly the beneficial owners of the shares in the companies, while having SeedBlink as a with a mandate to represent you legally. This will also reduce all the hassle and I know the issues we currently have with many SPVs. So should be faster and more transparent for you to see at every step the evolution of the shares in the startups you acquired. For the startups as well, there are plenty of benefits. We aim to reduce the setup time, the funding cycle, and have a more streamlined decision-making process. Imagine in this case, we don't need all the agas and all the documents for each of the changes we do. So this is coming, and it will change the dynamic of how fast and how secure the investment process is. All right. With that, I'll just stop for a second. Vlad, do you want to take some questions before we close it with roadmap, or?
Yeah. I think it's a good idea to pause now and do some questions because we have a few of them already. And the first one, and I think this is related to the first thing that Paul presented with the, oh, we lost the presentation. Oh, that was intentional. All right. So the first question, how do we calculate profit loss? Is it based on the invested amount? Is it since the last evaluation? And I know we had a lot of internal discussions about this. So Paul, maybe just briefly share with us.
Okay, so first of all, my portfolio as a product, let's say, or as a core feature is always evolving. So I can tell you the formula that exists today, but there will probably come some changes in that as well. But in short, the profit loss formula is quite basic. It's like purchase price plus the fees that you've have paid when you initially purchased those assets. And this sum is subtracted from the current asset value. So this is only valid for in case you own shares. So if you participated in an equity event, if you participated in a convertible event, that's slightly different. But if you own shares indirectly in a startup, what we do is we take the updated share price, we multiply it by the number of shares you own in that target, and then we subtract from that how much you paid when you initially purchased those assets. And in the end, you should have something like a profit.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. And yeah, and just to answer the second part of the question, yeah, it is based on the last evaluation, the last number that we have of
Yes.
that startup's value.
Exactly. So as we were saying, we are trying now to capture everything that's related to a startup from our portfolio, even if it doesn't happen on our platform. So let's say if there's an exit, or if somebody does a new evaluation on a company that's part of our portfolio, we can capture that information, update the share price, and then you will see the evolution of those assets within my portfolio. We're trying to keep it as up to date as possible.
Yep. All right. Okay. Thank you, Paul. On to the next question. And this is about the secondary market in relation to the SPV. And Todor is asking if in the secondary market, will we be only able to sell to people in the same SPV? And specifically, will it matter if it's the elite SPV or the other one? We cannot hear you. I think you're muted.
My bad.
Yeah.
My bad.
Okay. So
all good now.
it's a great question. So the goal here is to make like a huge market where anybody can sell and purchase any assets, as long as there's a demand, right, an offer for that. But in the first iteration, what we'll do is starting from a new round where there's a new evaluation and we have a clear sign that the share price has evolved in one direction or the other, we can trigger a secondary event where only people from the same SPV can exchange ownership of those shares. But this is like the first step, right? Right now, let's say in June, when we launch this, if there's a new round on a startup that you own, where you own assets, you will be invited to say whether you want to sell your shares or part of your shares, or purchase more, double down on the success the startup has shown. And depending on this, we'll say, okay, this is demand, this is the offer, let's meet in the middle. But if in the same company there are more SPVs, let's say like it was mentioned, the elite SPV and the, let's say, retail SPV, then for now there will be this limitation that people within the elite SPV will not be able to sell to the retail SPV and vice versa. But this is just temporary, because if we were to deliver the full scale solution, it will take us too long. So we're going to do it incrementally. #agile.
Yeah, that's great. And this will obviously also be impacted by the trust that Adriana also mentioned.
Yeah, and just to close on that thought, as you'll see in the roadmap, this is the broader bulletin board where it's not tied to the SPV will be available by the end of the year. But the first half of the year, we aim for this solution for managing the follow-ons, and the secondary within the same shareholders group.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I think we answered that question. Moving on, someone is asking, are DocuSign signatures legally valid? Do they have legal value? And have we considered qualified electronic signature regulated by the EU?
So the signature, the service that will be purchasing from DocuSign comes with a certificate as well. So those signatures are valid. Of course, this suggestion, we could go that way as well, but the difference in price is quite big. So right now we want to test the waters with this solution where there is a certificate, but it's like an unqualified certificate. And if things go well and there's feedback about this, and a lot of people request that we add also qualified certificates to e-signatures, so like digital signatures, I think that the correct term is, then we'll go that way as well. But again, we have to baby steps, let's say.
All right. Okay, great. Thank you. Next one. There are quite a lot of questions, so maybe let's try to fast fire those. Raluca is asking, would this trust operating model be implemented in relation to existing investments?
First phase, at least, what we're talking for the summer release will be only applying to new investments. So all new startups will be signed with this model and will be reflected in the My Portfolio. You'll have reflected both the SPV and the trust model. We do evaluate also the transition of existing SPVs to the trust, but this is not something we closed as the decision. I'm sure Carmen and the team will come back in a dedicated webinar on what are all the implications for the existing investments. But currently, at least what we are building in the platform is the ability to have support for both models.
Okay, great. Next one. Elena has a question regarding the secondary market. Actually, Elena has two questions regarding the secondary market. The first one, what are the rules or the principle of matching the demand with the offer?
So we will not be basing, let's say, this matching on an algorithm, but initially it's going to be we will going to keep this close to the chest, but the aim here is, of course, to maximize the potential of these events. So if you have this follow-on and secondary event, we'll try to make as many people happy as possible. But of course, there are extreme cases. Let's say if everybody wants to buy, then that's easy, but there will be a limit. Like we have for the people who know what I'm about follow-ons, you know that there's a limit to the follow-on right. You cannot purchase the whole startup within a follow-on. And if everybody wants to buy, that's going to be its limit. And of course, some people will want to buy more and we won't be able to provide it. If everybody wants to sell, again, it's not the optimal scenario. But if we are somewhere in the middle, we'll try to make as many people smile as we can possibly do.
Yeah, and it's more about how we look at this. The product is that we are looking to collect the intent as in knowing who wants to buy, who wants to sell, and how much.
The volumes, yeah.
And then it's just a matter of providing the offers, and each of you will decide, as in, do I want to buy that many shares or not? And we also would apply pro rata as a model if needed.
And a follow-up question on that, is it first in, first out, or are there any other priority rules that we have in mind?
I don't think we're going to go with first in, first out. So sorry, I think I need a clarification. First in, first out, as in if I want to sell 10 shares out of 100, which 10 will I sell? And if that's the case, then yes, it's first in, first out. You're going to sell the oldest shares in your portfolio, let's say. That will be the rule.
That is my interpretation, but Elena, if you meant something else, we're here and we're happy to correct.
Yeah, and what was the second part of the question?
If we were applying that or not.
Yeah,
that
so
was the question.
if that's the case, then yes, we were going to apply first in, first out. Yeah.
Okay, cool, great. Thank you. Hope we got that right. Will the secondary market be regulated by ASF?
I'll take on this one. We do follow and have implemented so far by the regulation, by the paperwork available at the EU crowdfunding regulation rules. So this is about the bulletin board that we've implemented as such. We are not managing the selling itself or the the buying, but allowing the offer and the demand to meet. And indeed, we are discussing with ASF for our authorization of all these aspects and requirements and how we build the specs. We are sharing all of this as a documentation to ASF as we are in the process of getting authorized. This is something we are targeting for the second half of the year.
Okay, thank you. And in the meantime, Elena did clarify her question, and what she meant was, is it first investor come, first served?
No. That we don't see it like that. So everybody is going to have the opportunity to say whether they want to buy or sell and how much, or if they just want to sit this one out. And based on that, there will be the bulletin board, and then they will be able to choose their.
Yeah, so it's more of a negotiation and trying to balance the buy and sell rather than.
If somebody comes and say, hey, I want to purchase 10 million shares, all the shares that we can possibly have, and he's the first one to answer, he's not going to get the chance to buy all the shares that are for sale. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to be able to.
Yeah. All right, gotcha. Thank you. We have a question from Adrian, who is asking, this is again in relation to the SPV, and how will we handle the paperwork required for a lot of transactions in the secondary market? But I think we did kind of answer that already.
The paper. So maybe if I understand correctly the question, so. For the first iteration, as long as we keep it within the SPV, we're just going to do some ownership transfer agreements where people selling and people buying will have to say, okay, I agree to transfer my ownership to XYZ. And then at the end, there will have to be like a general, how do you say, like a general council where everybody is agreeing with the new structure of the SPV. And this is going to be, of course, this is a bit cumbersome. And this is one of the reasons why I was smiling when Adriana was describing the new trust model and why we believe this is going to be so much better. But right now, as it stands, this is what needs to happen. So ownership transfer between the involved parties, and then general assembly document where everybody agrees with the new structure of the SPV.
And okay. I would like to point out here that once we release this, there will be dedicated sessions on the legal terms and our partners and lawyers would be sharing the flow end to end and what are the rules behind it. So we are describing mostly from the product perspective, but for such questions like ownership and who does what and what's the, I don't know, the priorities, we'll come back with more insights from the specialists.
All right. Okay. I have one more question, and then I think we can go through the rest of the slides after this question, because I know Adriana and Paul, I know we wanted to talk about the kind of broader roadmap in the future also. So the question, and this is close to my heart, that's why I wanted to be heard. Have we considered adding a notification button placed maybe on the homepage that would tell users when there was an update in their portfolio? For example, a document was added.
Okay.
What a great idea.
Vlad, if you have questions, you can ask them directly.
I swear it's not me.
Yes, so we believe a notification center is necessary, a better way of handling news that's reflecting things that have happened regarding your portfolio or your activity as an investor or whatever. These need to be more visible, and we are going to address this. So the short answer is yes, we will at some point in the hopefully near future do this, as we also feel very, very attracted by the idea. We like it a lot, and we're going to make it happen.
All right. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. I have that recorded, so we're good.
Yeah, I know it was you.
Yeah. All right. So before we go through any other questions that come in, do you guys want to go through the remaining of the slides?
Sure. I'll be sharing. Yes. So let's go quickly to some of the needs we hear, and in our conversations with you, what are the themes, and I know, because why do you choose SeedBlink? Why SeedBlink? And many times we hear such statements. I find deals that are not accessible elsewhere to individuals, and this is a core area of our investments, and it's not just product, but the investment relationship team, the managing partners looking for new opportunities, building partnerships with new VCs to get this diversification of opportunities. And in this case, in the product, this is reflected as how do we align the thesis you define in your in your account with such opportunities. The other theme we hear often is it's easier to invest, as in less paperwork, and I just mentioned a major shift in our operating model with the trust in Austria. But it's not just that, it's also how digital is the process, and how many clicks you need to do, and do you have a flow where you can transfer your investment, the amounts, or so the payment side of it, the languages, the automation altogether. It's also about learning. So this is a key theme we hear, and learning for us will be about leveraging the data in the platform we collect, and also the community tool I already mentioned, where we can enable education within the community, but also through the data and the insights we get. I like being involved. This is about how you can support and identify the right persons to engage with the founders and help them post-investment, and mentioned already the investor, the advisors, the mentors, the introductions that will add in the community tool. And then all this aspect related to growing your portfolio value, and the secondary market is in line with this need. Now, this is mostly related to this year. And if we look at also at the rolling roadmap approach, You can see how this are aligned in terms of dates, quarters. First half, we already covered most of the, I don't know, golden features, the big capabilities we work on. And then the second half is mostly about opening even more the secondary market and also automating these programs we shared, like the mentors and advisors, the introductions from the investors, having the European crowdfunding regulation certification in place. All of these are in works already. And there are also functionalities we developed for the startups, for the founders. And here I'll call out not just the access to the community, but also a job portal we are working on, and having a dedicated application for the startups to engage directly with their investors and to share updates, which later on will be in the portfolio for each of the users. All right, and with that, I would close it with a larger view on where we are going. But this is, again, mostly focused on how we open access to quality technology investments, startup and scale-ups. And then the other one is how we solve for controls and liquidity to such investments in this asset class. Thank you so much for all the questions, and if there are more, let's take another one or two.
Okay, all right, sure. Yeah, I think we have two other questions, so let's go through those. If we get other ones in the meantime, the first one, and I guess is a good one. What is one of the most important lessons that you guys have learned developing the SeedBlink product this last year or 2 years?
Wow, this one is hard. Yeah, so I think it's a humbling experience. So although, like you said, within this team, this product development team, there are decades, let's say, of experience of building IT products. You're never the expert. So that's why I'm stressing this, and it's not just something that we like to say, but it's something that we like to apply. We want you to reach out and share with us your experience, your perspective on things, and help us improve the product as we go along. Of course, internally, we do all sorts of research and try to figure out the trends and what the bigger need is. But in the end, there are people who have been doing this for far longer, and they know more than us, and it's childish to think that we can bridge the gap in shorter term than what maybe it took them years and again decades to learn. So for me, I think that's the number one rule, and of course build things faster. So we're trying to be as agile as possible. We have grown our team. We are trying to streamline everything that's relating to developing this process. So from getting the insights to actually delivering the features. But yeah, I think the top one is this. It's like, and people have been reaching out to us and providing support and help. So thank you again, and please keep doing that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, just my thought on this is that we are not a technology player only. We do use technology to make it easier for the users, but the value that I see and to learn from is mostly through the expertise, the relationships, the community, and the access that all the teams in SeedBlink are working to generate. So what we presented here is mostly our view from the code side of how we can package this easier and bring the functionalities and the learnings from the funding partners and our board, and also from the community. And then I'm sure we'll continue to iterate on it and bring new tools and capabilities.
All right. Okay. Thank you both. I don't see any other questions, and I think that's a really great one to end on. The one thing I would add is, even when it comes to this Ask Me Anything series, if you have any input or suggestions as to what we should talk about next, be it inside our team or someone else that you want to hear talking, do not hesitate to reach out to us either here via chat or WhatsApp or email, anywhere, and let us know, and we will do our best to make it happen soon. That being said, I thank you both guys for coming in and sharing all this information with us. I think it's been great, and I hope our public thinks the same. Thanks everyone for joining. I guess we'll talk to you soon in the next edition of the Ask Me Anything.
Thank you,
guys.
Thank you.
All right, have a great day, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.